What is going on, Internet? Eric Bandholz back again with another e-commerce conversations. Hope all is well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the Internet from me, Brandon. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. I'm
Good, good.
excited to have my second knife company on the show. Can you believe that?
Jeez, and hopefully the best. Hopefully the best.
Well, everybody's actually you. I don't know if you know them or not. They're a different kind of vibe than you. Wesson, have you heard of
Oh
them?
yeah, no, Weston's great, dude. And before we get too far, that's the one beautiful thing I love about the knife industry is that like I worked in a ton of different industries. The knife industry is the most friendliest. Like we don't have competition, we just have peers. Because our only competition is cruddy knives. If we can get people to buy better knives, we all do better.
Well,
So
not only that, like you don't really want to have any like bad beef with someone who's making a bunch of knives. They'll come and stab you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, before we get too far into the rabbit hole, why don't you tell our listeners who the heck you are and what the heck you do?
Yeah, well, great question. So my name is Brandon Horoho. I am the co-founder, vice president, and CMO of Montana Knife Company. Wearing a lot of hats right now because we're growing so fast. My background has always been in marketing. I got thrown in e-commerce really, really early, as like I like to think early around 2010, 2011. I worked for some big supplement brands, worked for some big fitness brands, I worked in that era when we were trying to pull everybody out of wholesale and get them online. So I've set up e-com websites on Magento and Shopify and every single type of platform, worked for every email platform there's possibly been derived since the beginning of that. One of my biggest feathers in my cap is I'm probably one of the earliest people to adopt SMS marketing, like text message marketing, back when it was the Wild West through easy texting. And literally you would just scrape your entire customer list with no consent and just blast out text messages until they opted out pretty much. So, and then right now, like I said, I'm helping grow this amazing company that we started 5 years ago, Montana Knife Company, 100% American made knives, all here in Montana. And it's just been an absolute wild ride for the past couple years here.
Well, let's talk about that because one, you're entering into an industry that's existed for thousands of years.
Thousands.
How can you differentiate in this marketplace and stand out? Like it's super crowded. I've been to Blade Show West,
Yeah.
so I've seen the amounts of options out there for consumers. Like, how do you even like get through the noise?
Dude, it's wild. And I love that you framed it this way. Cause like MKC, I hate to say, I don't want this to come off wrong, but we're kind of the anti-knife company. We don't, so we don't do blade show. We're not in the knife market. We made a specific tool for a specific person. That's how we launched the company. It was like, hey, we want to make the knives for the most hardcore hunters humanly possible. Like, let's just go right to the top. We're going to go to sheep hunters. We're going to make a knife that you can go to Alaska on a 2-week Dall sheep hunt. And that's the only knife you need. You don't need to bring backup. You don't need to bring extra, replaceable blades. The idea is like, kind of like the Yeti cooler. Like this is the only knife you need. And, the other thing that, differentiated us too is like, when we launched this company, 5 years ago, there wasn't a lot of companies taking pride on the mass market side. Like I'm not saying on the custom knife side, but on the mass market knife side, there wasn't a lot of companies that were taking pride in making a knife that you would pass down for generations. Everybody, all of our peers in the industry were racing to the bottom of the barrel. They were trying to make a $20 folder that they can sell to Cabela's so that when it dulled, they just went back and bought another $20 folder. We were losing that, not a lot of things get passed down anymore from men to men to men, all that stuff. So it's like, guns, knives, maybe a watch, and then like maybe a car, cowboy hat, stuff like that. But like if you notice, like all those things are becoming so replaceable now, and so that was kind of like where we kind of planted our flag was like, listen, we're not going to lose this. Like buy a knife yeah, it might be a little expensive. It takes some care. It's like a cast iron pan, a good pair of boots, a good cowboy hat. But like if you take care of it, it will take care of you and it will last for generations. And like that's our what differentiates us from everybody else is like, we're a specific tool company for a specific person that's doing a specific thing. And then we almost over obsess about quality and craftsmanship and all that, even on a large scale. It's like, it's really hard to do. It's easy to make like the best analogy is like your mom might make the best lasagna in the world, but if she had to make it for 1,000 people, it's probably not going to taste the same. So that's where we obsess is like, how do we make that custom knife feel, but over, for 1,000 models?
Okay. So I am not a hunter, and I'm especially not, what did you say? A dolly sheep? What kind of sheep?
So doll sheep is kind of like one of the hardest sheep. Yeah. It's like one of the hardest hunts to go on.
Is it because they're in the mountains and they're climbing up cliffs and stuff? And
yeah, I mean, it's in the worst terrain. I mean, you might hunt for 7 days and not even see an animal, no water. You have to pack all your food. Like, it's just grueling. It's a really, really hard hunt.
Okay, so were you a doll sheep hunter?
No, I mean, I wish I was a doll sheep hunter. Unfortunately, that's a very, very expensive hunt. But I am a backcountry hunter. We hunt here in Montana. So pretty much like we live, the knives that we take in there, like they have to be light. You don't want to be packing extra ounces because there's people cutting their toothbrush in half. So you don't want to send somebody with an 8-ounce knife when they only need a 1-ounce knife, if that makes sense.
Well, so I want to dig into this founding story a little. Was someone a doll? I assume somebody's done a doll sheep hunt before, because like, how do you know exactly what is needed for this very specific niche?
No, so this is another thing that separates us a ton from the rest of the knife industry, especially like I said, on the large mass commercial side, is that our company is founded by myself. I'm more on the business marketing side. In the secret sauce is my business partner Josh Smith. So he is a master bladesmith. He started making knives at the age of 11 in Lincoln, Montana, and then he became the youngest master bladesmith ever at the age of 19. No one's even come close to that age. He's been holding that title for over 20 years, achieving it at such a young age. But he has, 30 years of knife making experience. And, he's been making knives, and his specialty is like Damascus steel and like these like super intricate folders. I mean, they're works of art. All of his knives will literally be in museums when we're all gone. And how MKC came to be was, he was born in Lincoln, Montana. And the idea is like, he's always been hunting his entire life. He grew up a hunter. And he's never done a doll sheep yet either. That's how rare these like hunts are. I mean, I think right now they're going for about $100,000 to $120,000 to even do the hunt. So it's something that we're personally aspiring to go do. But he's always made these these beautiful hunting knives for people. They're super intricate, Damascus steel and all this. But the problem is like they weren't using them. They buy them, they collect them, they hang them on a wall. And he's like, I want to make knives that people actually use. And the Damascus, like people get hung up on the Damascus and like all the intricacies of like the beautiful handles and the sheaths and all this stuff. But what Josh's knives are actually extremely functional. Like his edge geometry, how easy they are to resharpen, the blade profiles, they're specifically made for hunting. And he was able to make a perfect hunting knife. But the idea was like for him to do that custom, he had to charge someone at least, $2,000 for a very plain knife to justify his time. So the idea was like, hey, how can you take 30 years of knife making experience and then put that into the perfect product? And that's what we did back in 2020.
Okay. So you've been working with clients. He's been building knives forever. He kind of knows what the needs are. He's talked with a lot of clients. I assume, from my business perspective, it's like find the niche of those with money, like for lack of better terms, is probably a good way to start, especially if your priority is a high quality item.
Right.
Now, it kind of goes back to like, steel is steel to a certain degree. Like if I have a certain grade of steel, somebody else could just buy the exact same steel. They could probably knock off your blade shape. I would imagine. Are you able to patent the geometry of your blade shape or anything like
No,
that?
no, because it's a knife. It's such a general thing. Like you said, it's been around for thousands of years. I would even say tens of thousands of years. I think the first tool ever is a sharp, pointy stick, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so.
So,
No,
so, so you have this market risk where someone in China can get the same kind of steel, rip off your design, effectively like make the exact same knife, but maybe charge a tenth of the price. Are you running into any of that currently with like knockoffs from China?
yeah, I mean, like I think there's a couple of our knockoff knives on Temu or something like that. It's honestly something we're not worried about. We don't lose any sleep over it. Just because like we're 100% direct to consumer. If you're not buying it directly from our website, you're buying a fake. Or obviously there's second market stuff, but there is some things that differentiate us that people just can't match at scale. That's the thing is all of our knives are hand finished, hand sharpened downstairs. The handle geometry, the blade geometry. Then also too, like there is stuff that goes into the metallurgy, like the metallurgy of the actual blade. I'm not the person to get into the details of like the Rockwell and the different heat treating methods and like the blade steel and like all that stuff, because the steel we launched a company with 52100 ball bearing carbon. It's honestly one of the oldest knife steels that that's in mass production, but it's one of the most trusted because like it's tough, but it's so easy to resharpen. That's the difference is like, there's a lot of companies that make all this space age technology, cut patent steel, but it's like super hard and it holds an edge out of the box for a really long time. But, if the general consumer tries to go to resharpen it, they don't have the machine to remove that steel to actually bring it back to like a razor sharp edge. Like I've seen people resharpen our knives on the bottom of a porcelain mug. I've seen them resharpen our knives on the edge of your driver's side windshield. So like that's how easy they are to resharpen our knives. So, and also too, again, like what we push really hard, we're 100% American made here in Montana. Like our blades are, sharpened by BIP, sharpened by Mark, sharpened by they're people I can go downstairs and have a beer with. And I think that's why our brand has caught so much like support, is because we're doing it the right way. And then we obsess about the customer. We have some of the best customer service and best warranty program in the industry. No one could touch our warranty. Like if you buy a knife from us, we will resharpen it as many times as you want. We will take care of it. We will fix it for not only just as long as you own it, but as long as that knife is existing. So if you pass that on to your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, like we're covering that knife. Just send it back to us and we'll take care of it.
Yeah, I assume there's a fee for that, like a resharpening fee?
Nope. And
they just have to pay shipping, or
yep, yeah, and we even cover the shipping back to them. All they have to do is just the average shipping cost is probably about like $5 to $10.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, that's a pretty good deal. So I've got to bring in a little bit of recent X drama. You're not on X, your company's on X, but D2C X is probably one of the best communities. And just recently, Very Hot, HOTT, did a poll that said if you sell out, that is that a success, a failure? Neither, or I don't know. I'm unable to determine. Yeah. And I thought you would be the best person to answer this question because you guys sell out all the time, right?
Yeah, I love this question. I love where this is going because we have such a hot take on this one. So,
well, give it to me. What's your hot take?
Yeah. So it all depends on the company. It all depends on the company's mission and stuff like that. Ours, if you go on to Reddit, go anywhere, it's like, oh, this company's just marketing. It's all scarcity. They're setting it up. Like, go watch our YouTube. We do behind the scenes every single week of how we're building this company. We're so transparent. It's almost not good. You know what I mean? Like, cause how transparent we are about building this business. So since Josh and I launched the website, we launched with the first 200 knives because that's all we can afford. We put everything on credit cards. We made 200 knives. And then, most of those knives got seeded out to our friends and family and all that stuff. And then, we ended up like running out of knives before we made the second batch. So that's where the drop model kind of came in. I was like, okay, well, I have a month and a half. I don't have anything to sell on the website. So we're just going to let's just do a drop model. We'll just pick a date when we think those new knives are going to be done, and we'll just mark it up to it. And I came from the fitness world, the apparel world, all that stuff. So I understood the drop model, but this company was never supposed to be a drop model company. Like that was never the intention or the it was never the actual plan for this, for the company. So, but the first drop, so we marketed real hard for about a month and a half, got everybody on the email list, got everybody on the text message list and all that stuff. And I remember it like it's yesterday. It was December 18th. And, we put, a couple hundred knives on our website and boom, within 14 minutes, completely sold out. We weren't even finished making those knives. So next morning I'm trying to scramble around, trying to find packaging because we didn't expect to sell 114 knives or a couple hundred knives. And then, and Josh is literally sharpening them and I'm packaging them. I'm trying to figure out how to, do the shipping labels. I bought a dyno shipping, thing that day. We're trying to set it up. It's just pure chaos. And then we're like, okay, well, our next batch isn't going to be available for another 6 weeks in January. So we did the same thing. Just, we just marketed like, hey, I think it was like January 18th, we'll have, speed goats available. And we did that and they sold out even faster. So we were actually never able to catch up in demand because we're literally manufacturing them. It'd be completely different if we were ordering from China and we're just like, okay, let's just bet the house and just order a container and we'll just plan on selling through them. Is like, we just didn't have that ability. And then we also launched during COVID. So we had massive restrictions on finding steel, finding, contractors who actually wanted to work with us because we were so small. All these, we had so many different limitations, and that was literally my marketing. That was the marketing for the first year. It was just me just being open about trying to build American manufacturing and how actually hard it is to do it at scale. Craziest, one of the craziest stats is so that cycle of, selling out really fast and, making more and then, doubling the batches and but the problem is if we double the batch, that means we have to double the employees. Because we're making them. If we triple the batch, we have to triple the employees. And then you start finding efficiencies, but it's not as when you're building the manufacturing, at the same time as you're building the marketing company, it's not as easy as just ordering more. So, you have to scale at a respectable rate where you're not crushing manufacturing. But to go back to we were saying, it was the craziest stat was for the first 2 years, we only had knives on the website, I think for less than 4 or 5 hours total over almost 2 years. So that's how fast we were selling out. But to me, that's a total success. And like I said, it's just, and each drop got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we brought in new models and all that stuff. So I think being sold out, if you're an American manufacturing company, is a great success. If you're a food company or a consumable, that's a little bit different. I think that is that is more of a forecasting issue. But it all depends on what type of company you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's when we go back to that conversation, and I think the point that Barry was trying to make is, the answer is nuanced. It really does depend on the situation. Whether or not being sold out is a good thing or not a good thing. I've been on both ends where we've sold out super quickly, and I've been on the end where I've had to destroy, 6 figures worth of products. I had too much inventory, couldn't sell through it. So both are not areas that you want to be. I mean, I think it was the Ferrari guy who wants to have one more person who demands his product than he has. Try to get it that close, I feel like is the goal. Have you, so you're scaling up this business. I would imagine as you scale, there are, you buy a CNC router or some kind of stamping tool or something like that. All these are capital intensive things that should allow you to, exponentially do larger and larger batches. Have you finally gotten to the point where your batch size is now satiating the demand for your customers?
Uh, no, it's wild. So, just like you said, like that's how we started scaling. You know, we bought one CNC machine, and literally we were, one parking lot over, and we were in a 2-car garage when we started this. Now we literally built our facility that we're in right now is still on Josh's property. It's only 10,000 square feet. It was supposed to last us 5 years. We literally grew out of it within a year, and we're building our next facility. Our next facility is 50,000 square feet total. So we'll have 20,000 square feet of office, and retail, and then we'll have about 30,000 square feet of manufacturing. So even right now, we are completely constrained by our ability to produce. And we're nowhere near producing at our demand. It's wild because like our goal last year was to go in stock. So the idea was like any of our older models, like let's get just like I said, the Blackfoot that we launched the company with and the Speedgoat, which are our most popular product. Like our goal was to keep those in stock. And we would try to like hold up, production, and pretty much back make a bunch of models, till we have thousands and thousands available, put them on the site, and they were just selling out just as fast. We've never been able to truly stay in stock with one single model, which is really hard for paid performance ads and like all that other stuff. And so, all of our marketing has been very, very organic from the start. But even to today, right now, I think we only have like 4 or 5 different models and a couple different colors of their very, very specific like use. And even still like, our sell-through rate is still like 2 weeks, but we're dropping more and more. We do a drop every single Thursday, and I have a drop planned from now until the end of 2026 for every Thursday is completely planned out, with my operations manager. And then we're starting to do more drops on Saturday to help hopefully like some of those older models to drop those on Saturday so that if we do have a new customer in our ecosystem, they're able to buy one of those older models.
So I want to, we've always considered toying around with kind of like this drop model. And
Yeah.
one of my fears is just kind of like you get this saturation. Like how many of your customers are buying these and versus how many are like new customers? Like, is this a lot of people who are just kind of collecting 4 or 5 different colorways or steel types?
Yeah, so we have a very, very ravaged fan base. And the thing that we're most appreciative of is, I thought I was only ever going to sell one knife to every hunter. Like that's what I thought this company was. I never thought it'd be selling, 10 to one person, 20 to one person, 100 to one person. Like I never thought that would ever be a thing, even feasible. But I was completely wrong about that. And that's so we have a lot of returning customers. And it's wild. Like people, like when we talk to people about our business and they're like, man, like, aren't you scared once you're in stock? Like it's just going to disappear. That the difference is that it's actually there's 2 different types of customers. There's customers who actually like the drop, like the excitement of trying to sign on at 7:00 and get the models and stuff like that. And then there's people who just don't want anything to deal with that. And we didn't realize how big the market of like, I don't want to deal with a drop market customer is. So that's why when we say we try to put things in stock and they sit on our website, they're gone because they're not rushing against the clock. So it all like this company isn't based off the drop model. Like this is just the only way we can do it because we refuse to do pre-orders. We never want to take money for something that like we can't ship the next day. Our shipping department is absolutely amazing. And it's, every knife that's ordered is shipped within 24 hours. So we always want to keep that promise. So we don't do pre-orders. And people are like, well, if you just do pre-orders, and like the problem is like if we do pre-orders, the pre-order just sells out just as fast as the actual drop. So we'd rather just ship. So but then like on our job, the marketing side is to bring as many people as possible into the ecosystem. So I focus more on like just getting as many people, acquainted with the brand as possible. And if you focus on that, you're never going to run out of customers because all your focus is getting new people into the brand.
What does this look like from a financial situation? Are you guys bootstrapped? How are you funding this? Have you got investors?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're bootstrapped. I mean, from day one. like literally Josh and like this 50,000 square foot facility that we're doing it's all just Josh and I in a banknote. I mean, literally, we had to write our house off, and my wife had to go down. She's like, "Why am I signing banknotes?" I was like, "Well, you're signed on the house that we're using as leverage." She's like, "Okay." So,
I mean, I feel like that, seems like such a huge step. Your 5X and your square footage. I would imagine this building is going to be quite a bit more expensive than where you're at. How do you feel confident that you've got that room to grow and it's going to be able to maintain it, and you're not going to be hung dry if the market does shift to a different direction?
Right. It's our team, 100% our team. Confidence in like our executive team, Josh and I as business partners, owners, co-founders of the company. Our CFO is absolutely amazing. Our COO, we stole him from Amazon. He's an absolute stud. Our engineering team is the best in the industry. Our machinists are the best in the industry. So, and the thing is, like, we're building a manufacturing facility. At the end of the day, we're still pulling the punches on the marketing side. We haven't even gotten the folders. Like most of our peers in the knife industry, they sell 9 folders to every fixed blade. We're only selling fixed blades. So we still have the entire folder market to go after. And then I'm talking like worst case scenario, there's other things that we can manufacture in a heartbeat because we have all the machines to do it. So, when people are like, "Oh man, like, I can't believe you're rolling the dice and like all that stuff." I was like, but at the end of the day, like, you do get one life, you get one chance, but truthfully, there is a bunch of backup plans for us, but I don't even want to really think of them because because like I said, like we're like, this has just been such a rocket ship, and we've such good guardrails on our branding, our mission statement, everything. If we just follow that, you can't go wrong.
Let's talk about those hires. You said you have a CEO, CFO. How big is your team?
So the total team is 80 people.
Wow.
And that includes, and most of them are on the manufacturing side.
Right.
There's only 6 or 7 people in the marketing side. And then, like I said, with the CFO side, all the accounting, and then the COO side. But the COO, he looks over all the manufacturing. So he's the dude that actually makes everything run around here.
Right. And you're a in-person office, or are some of these team members remote?
Like 70 are in person, and then we have just a very, very small team of remote people. Because when we started the marketing side, we didn't really have an office to go to. So I have our digital stack director Mike. He's in Pennsylvania. We have Nick in Washington. We have Brad in Iowa. There's a couple people that are floating around that have very specialized talents. But moving forward, everyone is going to any new hires are all going to be in-house because of this new facility we're building. We just want that in-house feel and, going forward.
Yeah. Will you require those remote team members to relocate?
No, absolutely not.
So they're kind of grandfathered into the situation. And then
they're grandfathered in, and they all know, if they ever want to move here, we'd fully support it, all that stuff. But, I also respect their freedom. I worked remote. Actually started in 2011. So I understand that lifestyle, and I know the right people can work really well remote. But I think at a certain point in the company, there is something to said about company culture, about being inside. So now it's my job to make sure that I'm getting my remote key employees worked into the fold and getting to make sure they're still feeling the culture, and we're taking trips and we're bringing them in as much as possible.
Now, I want to hear about your marketing efforts. You said in the early days, it seems like it was pretty organic. You would display stuff on YouTube. How have you been able to continue to push the gas down to reach new audience members?
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest focus for us, the best part is leading up into this, starting this company, I had 18 years of making mistakes with other people's money. So setting this company up, I try to set up for as much success as possible. And we tackled a lot of really boring stuff first. that a lot of people don't start setting up until a couple years into their business. Like the first thing we set up was a proper like data management system. So, setting up Klaviyo, collecting emails, collecting SMS, messages, because we're a knife company. Like we're restricted heavily on Google and Facebook and everything. So I knew that from the beginning, and it's something I'm familiar with from being in the supplement space. Like it's just setting that up from day one. And then the second thing is like what a lot of people don't focus on is like, I was like, okay, we're gonna be battling a bunch of companies that have been around for 100 years, 70 years, 30 years. And I was looking at their digital footprints, and I was like, they're kind of sleeping behind the wheel. So, I called up one of my really, really good friends, Joel, who owns Flux Digital Marketing, and he runs one of the best SEO companies. Called him, and I was like, dude, this doesn't make sense. I need you to give me a good price. We're not making any money, but like, I've seen what you've done with other brands. Can you help us just set up SEO? So we had a robust SEO program from day one, even when we didn't have products, on there. So that was a big thing that's helping us. So we're building up all this organic traffic and then demand traffic that we can literally just send a text message out or send an email out. And my focus, has not been like, hey, grow Instagram or grow Facebook or grow TikTok or grow anything. All those channels are meant to help me grow my email list. And that's what we've always stuck to. So, the big success between MKC is like just the ability to reach our customers when we want to reach them. And then we've had, and then just consistency on the Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and YouTube of just posting every single day. And just always being top of mind. And then another big thing that's helping us, if you're saying like, hey, how are you bringing in new customers? Right now, my biggest thing is like collaborations, working with other like-minded brands. That's the only thing that's going to beat AI in a couple of years. Like AI is going to start being able to build the perfect performance ad, but people are going to start understanding that and seeing that and feeling that. And like, I think it's going to be such a breath of fresh air once they see two brands working together, like two humans working together, coming up with a new product or coming up with a new idea, almost creating like a cool kid table that the customer wants to sit at. So that's what I've been really focusing on trying to like bring new people to the brand.
Well, that's sweet. Well, I've got some tool ideas. So maybe after we wrap up this podcast, I can show you kind of some of my designs. Where can people buy your products, support you, follow you?
Yeah. So, MontanaKnifeCompany.com. Just Google Montana Knife Company. We'll pop up the first thing. We're probably heaviest on Instagram. So if you guys have any questions or want to just meet us, any of the owners, any of the employees, like Instagram's like the best chance. Our YouTube is awesome. We wish we had more followers because the content on there is seriously so like undervalued and just like underseen, because we have amazing vlog. We're about to hit our 100th episode, straight weeks of just like how we're building this company. And then for me personally, my Instagram is just my name, Brandon Horoho. I am going to try to get more involved with X now that we're doing that a little bit more on the business side. And that's the best way to get a hold of us.
Sweet, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on board, E-commerce Conversations, sharing your story. It's been amazing to watch. I'll have to tag Barry so he can kind of give his insights on the podcast and your take on it as well. Hope you guys listening enjoyed it as much as I did. As always, this is another E-commerce Conversations. Cheers. Keep on growing.
Cool.